This video will revise the basics of flying a training kite and the wind window. Find a flat and open area that is free of any potential hazards or wind blocks. Next, determine which way the wind is blowing. Unroll a kite downwind, placing sand on the upwind side as you do.
Upwind and downwind are terms used to refer to directions in relation to the wind. Upwind meaning against the direction of the wind, and downwind with the direction. The terms can also be used to describe the relative position of objects or people to each other. For example, as shown, the whale is upwind of the man and the rabbit downwind. Note: always remember to notice hazards in your kitesurfing area as seen here, such as other riders, trees, and so on.
Once secured, check that the bridles are not tangled. Grab the bar and unroll the lines heading upwind of the kite. Note: this only applies to trainer kites in light wind. Place the bar with red on your left, and then walk in between the lines to separate them. Connect the lines to the kite using the lark's head knot. The trainer kite is launched downwind of the pilot. Again, this is only suitable for small kites in light winds. Take hold of the bar and gradually fill the kite with air. When it's ready, pull and the kite will launch. The wind window is the space in which the kite can fly. It is always on the downwind side of the pilot.
This does mean that the wind window will of course change in relation to the direction of the wind.
Firstly, we use clock numbers to describe the angle of the kite. 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock represent the ground levels, and the 12 is the middle. Next, you can see that the space immediately downwind of the pilot is colored orange and then red. These are the areas of higher power. The further downwind the kite flies, the stronger the pull. If looked at from the side, it should be common sense. A kite sitting in green is almost parallel to the wind and won't deflect much air. A kite sitting in orange deflects a little more air and pulls harder. A kite sitting in red deflects a large amount of air and pulls very hard. At first, attempt to just keep the kite near 12 and in the green zone. To keep it in the green, steer gently and for very short periods. If you need to steer right, briefly pull in your right arm. If you need to steer left, briefly pull in your left arm. Always straighten both arms after steering to keep the kite under control. It's a very important habit. Once your control is better, move your kite to 10:30. If you use small steering movements, the kite should move slowly and stay in the green low power zone. Attempt to keep it parked at 10:30 and then the same at 1:30, as this mimics the kite's position during body dragging.
Next, try to keep the kite at 12, one-handed. Hold the middle of the bar with one hand to steer. This will help later when you need a spare hand for the board. Once you can keep the kite in green and under control, it's time to experiment with the orange and red power zones. Move the kite between 11 and 1 using small steering movements. Gradually start steering harder. Pull the left or right of the bar closer to your body to steer faster. As the kite turns faster, it will start to reach the higher power zones. This can be seen here. This drill helps one to understand where the kite is most powerful. However, it is not something we generally use while kitesurfing. A power dive is a more useful drill as it allows control of the direction of the pull. A power dive can be done to the left or to the right. A power dive to the left is where you start around 12 Dive your kite to the left and then slowly return to 12 to cut the power. It is the same concept on the right. As well as the direction, the strength of a power dive can also be controlled. The more aggressively you steer, the further towards the red kite will drop and the more power it will produce. In this example, the pilot steers gently and produces little power, as it primarily stays in the green. In this example, however, the pilot steers aggressively and generates much more pull. Begin with gentle power dives and build up. This is a very useful drill, as it's a model of how you fly your kite when starting to ride on the board. You should be able to do weak, medium, and strong dives easily without crashing the kite. Each time steadily returning to 12 to cut the power. Once you develop more confidence, you can chain several power dives together to generate more power. There are various safety systems on training kites, however they all work with a similar concept of pulling just one line and allowing the other line to go slack, meaning the kite flags out and drops to the ground with no power. You can use this to land your kite, or by bringing it slowly to 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock and allowing a friend to catch it.